I just sat down and recording. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always, Sabir Alim. So last week, we went through the signs. But this week, I want to slow this down. Because parental alienation doesn't happen in big moments. It happens in small, repeated behaviors that most people overlook. Let me show you what it actually looks like. Let me show you. Sabria, turn it down some, please. Thank you. So, we're going to talk about three concepts. Last week we did and the week before that we did a list of 17 signs of parental alienation. Because we also discussed the fact that not only is this immoral behavior of a parent, it's illegal. And it's important that you understand that when you walk into the courts, come prepared. Document. You need to turn it down some more, Sabria. You come in ready. See, because once you get to this point, right, where you can't resolve between one another. You can't, you won't, you refuse to look at your behavior and the impact that it's having upon the entire family, the mother, the father, the child. When we get to this point, no holds barred. This is serious. This is important. Take it any way you want to take it. But you haven't taken it serious enough to address it. So the child and everybody else doesn't continue to suffer and get beat upon day after day after day. Emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. It goes on. Just imagine a child hearing every day of their life, your father doesn't care about you. Now that child has to process that without the emotional tools to understand it. You're not just criticizing the parent. You're shaping how the child sees themselves. Let me say that again for those in the front row who didn't hear me. You're not just criticizing the parent. You're shaping how the child sees themselves. If a child hears this long enough, what do you think they begin to believe? What do you think they begin to believe? And this is going to require an honest response from you, not to anybody else, not to the child. But what do you think the child begins to believe? That's what you have to think about. You came up with all this stuff to say, right? So parental alienation doesn't just remove a parent. It removes part of the child's identity. And once identity is affected, everything else follows. Yeah. Daddy's right here. We're going to start with bad mouthing. And I want you to keep in mind the last thing that I asked you. What do you think the child begins to believe after hearing this? So when we talk about bad mouthing, you want to understand you're shaping identity, not opinion. Identity, not opinion. Shaping identity is a complex, ongoing process influenced by internal self-perception, social interactions, cultural context, media representation, and life experiences. Understanding these factors helps individuals navigate personal growth, build resilience, and develop a coherent sense of self in a diverse and interconnected world. Now, we tend to think that when we say something to somebody, that we're giving somebody an opinion. Yep. What's bad mouthing? Let me back up for a minute. What is bad mouthing? We gave one example. Your father doesn't love you. If your father loved you, he'd be here now. And things like that are typically said when there are events. Now, we didn't even talk about the fact that you didn't invite me to the birthday party. But in order for you to keep your lie intact, you don't invite me. And the child is looking for the father to be there at the party. Because the father had a conversation, well, let me know what y'all going to do. Because can't talk to you, the parent. So the child says this, the child says that. But now, even before that, when a child doesn't have the ability to make that call, first birthday comes. Everybody else is there. It's all on social media. Everybody sees it. Where's the father? Where's his father? Oh, I don't know. You know him. He ain't no damn good anyway. Because it doesn't, the lies, the bad mouthing doesn't just stay with the child. It's told to everybody. Because you're the victim now. You've made yourself the victim. So everybody gets told the same lie. Second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. Very significant times for the child to have the father present at the birthday party. The child has already been conditioned. He ain't here. He doesn't love you. That's why he's not here. But you never told the child, I didn't invite him. I didn't want him here. He didn't want to be here. Your dude don't want me there. And you ride with that. Yeah. I ain't coming here. I don't want him here. I want him in my house. Little boy stuff. Right? Little boy stuff. Yeah, you got to, and even if you pay to have it at a particular event, I mean, a particular venue, well, I don't want him here, right? Little boy stuff. Disregard your child. You're the mother. You allow it. What do you tell the child? Because see, now you can't have the child hating your dude and daddy. One of y'all got to be worth it. So who do you pick? The new dude. Do you tell the child that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So all these missed opportunities, graduations, birthdays, recitals, all those things are missed because of you continuing to say, well, you know your father. No, how does I don't know him. You haven't given me the opportunity. You've taken that time after time after time and keep telling the child, well, I told you your father wasn't nothing. I told you he didn't love you. Stop looking for him. Because now you got to reinforce the lie. You've got to reinforce the lie. Your father out there on drugs. You know, he be getting high and drinking and all that stuff. He in the streets. I was there before this. I was there in the streets before you laid up with me. I got high with you. That's how we met. Now I'm just a damn junkie. That's what you tell my child. Now I'm just irresponsible. That's what you tell my child. That's what you tell my child. You block me from participating. You lie about it. The child has no kind of understanding. The information's come from somebody who's, let's assumedly, an adult. You're an adult. You should know better. Apparently, you don't. So what can you give the child in understanding the situation other than what you have the capacity to give? Because if you had the capacity, the right-minded capacity to tell the child, mommy slept with him, mommy was having fun, she was enjoying herself, she failed to use protection, having unprotected sex with an individual who I knew wasn't no damn good. But damn, he was hitting it right in the bed. You can't tell your child that. You can't tell your child that, well, you know, I don't know how to shut my mouth. I don't know how to let things go. I don't know how to respect a man, regardless of his capacity. Because your capacity can't be all that great with the decisions that you're making. So now everybody looks at me and don't know the truth. And you want it that way. You want to keep those people away from me. Because if I start having conversation with the right-minded person who will hold you accountable, who will intervene for the sake of the child, for the best interest of the child, that's going to be a problem for you. That's going to mess up the lie. So I'm going to keep bad-mouthing the father to everybody. So everybody gives the same excuse. Everybody's on the same accord now. Your father ain't here, baby. It's all right. He ain't nothing. He's just a deadbeat father. He doesn't love you. He doesn't want to be a part of you. That's why he ain't here. He's using excuses. Every time there's an excuse, if I tell enough people, I got the whole rah-rah crowd behind me. And I can keep riding on the victim role. But wrong is wrong. You're shaping the child's identity. They don't understand opinion yet because they haven't learned anything to be able to give one. So you form it for them from your mindset. That's what you're doing. You're forming an opinion, but you're shaping the child's identity. He don't look for me anymore. I'm on the sidelines, waving, jumping up and down. You're on the other side, drawing attention to you and your new dude, or your family and friends who you got together and made them understand and accept your position, because many times they're in the same damn position. So you got your cheerleading squad with you to override dad's presence. And then when dad comes to approach, here come the slick talking mouths. Yeah. Disrespectful. Trying to just let his child know he's there, show his child some love, but you want it all for yourself. So you go from the rah-rah crowd to influencing, provoking, and getting a hoorah crowd together. That's what ultimately happens. For what? For what? Because of your poor emotional management? Because of your inability to accept that this is life? You gave all of your trust into somebody to do something that they never even showed you the capacity to do. You saw no inkling of it. None. What you saw was a good time. I don't care what he told you. I don't care about the sweet nothings that you fell for. I don't care nothing about none of that. I care about seeing my child. Let me fail on my own. I don't need your help. Don't make me a failure. So again, I ask the question. If a child hears these kind of things long enough, what do you think they begin to believe about the other parent? Oh, but then they also question you too. But we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we have so many poorly managed, emotionally charged children because of what you took away. You took that away from them. And every excuse that you use thereafter for the child's behavior always gets pointed back to, well, if you were there, your child would have. If you would allow me to be there, child might not have. Because statistics prove that when a father is actively involved in the life of their children, children tend to do better in so many areas of their life. But you have become the expert on who should be and who should not be. You become the expert all of a sudden. But don't look at your ways. Don't look at yourself. Don't look at the fact that the child, is usually being watched by somebody else while you're out doing something else, while you're out partying, while you're out having a good time. Because the right-minded, responsible thinking person would not make such a decision. I don't care how educated you are. I don't care how much you can pontificate and enunciate and all that. The most learned do the same thing. What is that about? What's the desired outcome from that for that kind of conduct? What is the outcome, the desired outcome for that kind of conduct? What were you thinking was going to happen? And then it happened. And then you mad. Then you layer that onto the lies you already told. And then now the father believes whatever somebody else is telling him and influencing him to do or not to do, because not doing is doing. Be reminded of that. But how many times did you sit and badmouth yourself? How many times did you sit back and look at the decision you made? And look at your child and see how your child is being affected, because it's not about the best interest of the child. It's about your best interest. Just like having unprotected sex was. That was in your best interest. The bum, the good-for-nothing Negro, who you knew was irresponsible, who you watched regularly hanging out in the streets, who you watched snorting, smoking, whatever he was doing. Or the one who you watch with different women. A woman on this day, another woman on that day. The one that you kept arguing and debating back and forth with because he kept cheating on you. But that's the one you stuck with. That's the one you stuck with. What did you think was going to be the outcome? How committed were you to finding the right person? The right person. And what would that look like? Do you even know what that would look like today? And again, I asked the question. If the child hears these kind of things about the father long enough, what do you think they begin to believe? Access is control. Access is control. Limiting the contact. So, access. What is access? Access or visitation is the right of the non-custodial parent to spend time with the child, usually according to a set schedule. Even if one parent has sole custody, the other parent generally retains enforceable access rights under a court specifically, unless a court specifically limits them. Control, in this context, means the authority to make day-to-day decisions about the child's life during the time they are with you. This includes what they eat, activities they participate in, bedtime routines. Right now we focus on these electronic devices. Like, I don't allow my daughter to sit at the table with a tablet while she's eating. I don't allow it. I don't allow it. No, turn it off, sit it down, and go to the table and eat. Now we're working on sitting at the table and eat and not talking and playing. Right? So let's talk about that for a minute. If when my child comes to visit me, I don't permit those things, first I have to ask myself, why don't I permit those things? And what kind of impact do I think it would have upon the child? And it's not just watching the tablet while they eat. It's not just sitting at the table and not, just playing and talking and all that. Right? It's about an etiquette. It's about structure. If the primary person who has that control doesn't discuss that with the other parent, what happens? An argument, conflict, confrontation. Because of what? Well, a couple reasons. I'm sick of hearing from our child. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sick of hearing from my son. Daddy this, daddy that. Daddy don't let me do this. Daddy don't let me do that. Daddy gave, and I gave the explanation. So it's not that he's complaining about the fact that daddy's having him do things different. It's about he's beginning to internalize the guidance that a father provides a child that a mother does not in many cases. It can be vice versa. Not saying that a mother doesn't, that mother doesn't permit, deny the child being able to sit at the table. What I'm saying to you is I want you to understand something here. I want you to see something here. If you do it in your house and I don't do it in my house, right? And the child brings it to your attention every time they at home, because they see the benefit because it's been explained to them. You don't care about the benefit. You care that there's a level of control and loyalty that's being tested. And we're going to talk about the loyalty piece after we talk about contact, access, and control. Right? Because that's all you see. Remember, because it's all about you. It's all about the fact that I, the primary custodial parent, unfortunately in many cases, most cases, it's the mother. I want to make sure that you have no level of control, no level of input, no guidance coming from you whatsoever. It's going to be done solely by me. And if you, Dad, want to influence that child in any capacity, we have a problem because I'm in control of this. That child lives with me. My child, my son lives with me. Don't go try to change nothing unless I tell you that needs changing. Now I want your help. Now I want your help. But I thought this was in the best interest of the child. See, control in the wrong hands is never a good thing. And we should be quite privy to that concept with the state of affairs in the United States of America. Right? We see what control in the wrong hands does to a country. Right? Why is it you don't see it within your family structure? See, there's another part to this that's important to understand as well. And somebody had posted it the other day. I forget which who it was, but it was one of the father y'all know what I'm trying to say. It was on Facebook. It was on Instagram or something like that. One of the pages, and it was a brother giving a whole explanation from the court's perspectives on rights. This is how devastating this so-called government has been upon families, but especially the black family. Especially, listen, we can go into the whole thing of birth, this, and when you're born, you get this number, this, but that's not relevant. It's relevant in life, but not to this conversation. What's relevant here is every decision that the mother makes, well, even before becoming a mother, if she's not a mother, every decision a woman makes regarding her body is hers and hers alone to make. Keep that in the forefront of your mind, not in the back of your mind. So when you have people, women, who have the mindset of the need for control, they become pregnant. The need for control comes into the forefront of the mind. I don't want to deal with this dude. I'm keeping my child, right? I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and E, but I'm going to complain every step of the way when I have to do these things by myself. And that sounds like a very rational decision. I'm going to do it by myself. I don't want no parts of him. Him and I don't get along. Everything comes to mind now that didn't come to mind when we were having unprotected sex, right? So I'm going to keep this to myself, and I'm going to tell him how I'm going to do this. Not how we're going to do this as parents. How I'm going to do this. How I'm going to run things. I don't want your woman around my child. That's first thing. Second thing is, you ain't on time, it's done. It's a wrap. I'm not waiting any longer. I'm not waiting no extra time. If I tell you 4 o'clock, you be there 4 o'clock. 4:05, no. Right? All these things begin to happen once the decision is made to have the child. I'm conditioned. I don't need no man to help me do anything. Because of the condition you have, you're going to get it taken care of because the government does that. Oh, he ain't there, no problem. We got you. Right? But then you complain about all the things you have to do because you have now excluded me. You didn't put me out of the picture. I didn't walk out of the picture. That may have been one of the lies you told when you were bad-mouthing me to everybody. But I have to reinforce the lie. I'm trying to keep my child safe. So I done went from the love of your life to damn, you need to have a restraining order. Against me? Okay. And what do I do as a man with that? Right? But you're making all of these plans, all of these decisions about our child. But every terminology that comes from you is my child, my son, my daughter. So you set a schedule that's convenient for you for me to see my child. A lot of us don't even have a damn schedule. We don't get a schedule. Right? You see the child in 5 years. You see the child in 9 years. You see the child when they turn 18. You'll see when they turn 18, by the time they turn 10, they don't want no parts of me. They don't even know who I am. You don't care. What difference does it make? Ain't hurting me. That's something you got to talk to your child about. Now we get to your child. But you kept me from my child. And I'm going to say this, and you're going to hear me say this a lot of times. My mother hated my father. But when my father was murdered, my mother came down to the courtroom while the murderer was on trial. And she said, I hated that mother. But he didn't deserve to die the way he did. My mother never kept me from my father. She moved away because she needed to. She needed to. Or somebody was going to go in cuffs and another in the bag. She needed to. But arrangements were made for me and my sister to go and see my father. At some point, my sister even lived with him. So she had a totally different experience than I did, but I didn't want to go see him. And most of my information was already established. I don't recall. I'm very young. They separated when I was about 5. So I don't remember. But I do remember sounds, crashing, cussing, yelling, screaming. I do remember that. I don't have a... Well, the part that I don't remember sounds, crashing, cussing, yelling, screaming. I do remember that. I don't have a... Well, the part that I don't have in my conscious, right? Unconscious, but, you know, it'll be there because it doesn't go anywhere. But she never kept me from him. I told her one day when they were waiting for me outside in the car to go take me to see my father that I didn't want to go see him. I didn't like him. And I didn't like who my father was then. He was an alcoholic then. He had a different capacity then. But I also know that before he started drinking, my mother's own account, he was a hustler. He was a good dude. Right? He didn't drink. He was a hustler. That was his thing. He hustled. He made money. Took care of her well. Things changed. I don't know if they changed because she got pregnant or whether they changed because she had to move in with him because my grandmother wasn't having. So I don't know what. And I didn't find it important to have that conversation with him when I finally did connect with him at 30 years old. 2 men talking. I didn't have to bring up this, that. There wasn't no need for me to do that. There wasn't no need for me to do that. I don't know what you're going to get out of the conversation. Why didn't you this? Why, why take a person back through something which you don't even know what the hell they went through, going through all of that. You want to bring up old stuff like that, and then you want to tell them this and tell them that based off of a story somebody else told you. You've turned a child into you. You've turned a child into you. That's what you've done because it's been internalized now. All these years it's been internalized by the child, your conduct. Your conduct that you fed them. So don't turn around and say, well, that's their opinion. They didn't have their own opinion when you start telling them that lie. They didn't have the opinion. They didn't have the capacity to form an opinion, but you did. But you did. So the father is left with having to deal with that. You shaped the child's thinking. You shaped the child's view. Not just about me. You shaped the world view of how they see others. You shaped my daughter's thinking about men, about males, their conduct. But yet still you made the bad decision about the one you selected for the father. And you probably made another bad selection after that one. And you don't want to look at those kind of things because there's a reason why you were in the place that you were in because of your capacity. But you don't have that discussion. You don't have that discussion. Because you need to have the ongoing discussion about me so you can sleep better at night. And confident now that I've gotten the child on the right track to hate their father. So once you have shaped that self-perception, self-perspective, right? It's ingrained. It never goes anywhere. It becomes part of the unconscious at some point in time because it has to be unconscious for the child to have some level of resiliency. You took that too. You took that too. Mom, you took that too. You broke down. You crumbled your child's resilience. Even if one parent has sole custody, the other parent generally retains enforceable access rights unless a court specifically limits them. So going back to what I told you that one of those pages supporting and advocating for fatherhood posted, he was talking about just this. That's why I read back to that. He was saying how, fathers don't have any rights. As much as we tell ourselves that we have rights as the other parent, fathers don't have any rights. When you're with somebody who has the mindset of they can walk away from you pregnant, they can make any kind of decisions they want after having the child. You don't have any damn choice but to go through the courts. Because if you don't go through the courts and you have a mother who thinks in the capacity that she does, that she thinks it's okay to do the thing, first and foremost, disrespecting you as a father, bad-mouthing you to the child, and then understanding that she has this level of control that she can just abuse. When you have that, the best thing you can do is go to courts. I don't care how angry she gets. I don't care how upset she gets. I don't care about none of that. If that's the mindset that you are dealing with, go to courts. Because it's going to be a rough road along the way. She get a new dude, you out the picture. Because they start making plans. They're going here. They're going there. Oh, well, the weekend that you wanted to, that you supposed to? Well, no. Not because we going. Well, why would you plan for that day when you know that that's my weekend? Well, Mike planned it. Mike? The hell Mike got to do with this? So you allow this dude to respect the co-parenting relationship that you and I have. Things come up. I get it. It happens. That's the only available time. We know that happens. But what you begin to find out is as the relationship with her new dude continues to grow, begins to turn into something that doesn't include you, that's a problem. That's a problem. It's going to be a problem. And it's going to be a problem each new dude who comes along. Because all the dudes out there ain't right-minded themselves. Very childish and immature in their behaviors. Oh, I know what it feels like when you're no longer together and new dude is in the crib. I know what it feels like. I've been through it. But then one day something happened and me and new dude had a conversation and me and new dude was on the same accord. Now, it began with a confrontation that was heading, that could have. Only divine intervention kept us from doing that. Now, we ain't become homies, road dogs, and none of that. But the level of respect was established between the both of us. We even sat down in the basement in my wife's house where he was staying. We sat down in the basement and had a man-to-man conversation. A good conversation. Not one of them old, nah. We ain't had one of them. We sat down and he told me some things about, his life and his experience and some of the things, he had dealt with and was dealing with. And I told him the same about me and mine and so on and so forth. And, every time he saw me, it was like, hey, Brother Sabir, and so on and so forth. And we always talked. We were respectful. He always spoke. He always spoke respectfully, but with a level of admiration because of what I had embarked upon and overcame. And he was in the same process of, trying to do that for himself. Everybody has their capacities. Everybody has their capacities. But it's going to happen. She going to decide she want to go to school. She want to do this and she want to do that. Everything that she decides for her life, right, affects, and I'm not saying that's wrong because that's reality. But I'm saying to you that when your rights are not in place, you're going to continue to run into these brick walls. So stop with this mindset of, I don't mess with the system, this, that, and the other. You have to. You don't have any choice in the matter. That's the only choice you truly have to secure your rights. I'm just telling you the way it is. If you're going through all this chaos, put it to an end. Stop. You may not see your children for a minute or your child for a minute. You're going to have to be okay with that. You're going to have to go through the right channels so you can have all of this wiped away. Excuse me. I'm just telling you. If you faced with chaos every time it's time to see the child, don't do the back and forth because that's going to work against you. But that's the intention when you have a mother who thinks that way. She's still mad about the hopes, dreams, and aspirations that she had with you. So this wasn't just some one night stand. And you messed up. You did something you had no damn business doing. But the relationship as husband and wife, girlfriend and boyfriend, whatever the hell you called yourselves doing, that's over. Now we have to focus on being mom and being dad. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't have anybody grooming me to be a father. One of the deficiencies acquired because my father was absent. And you can have all these males in the family step in and step up and do this, that, and the other, whatever. You can have all of them. Nobody replaces the impact that a father has upon his child. Nobody. Nobody. Just like nobody can replace the impact that the mother will have upon that child. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's why it's so difficult, right? When you, for stepdads. I'm one. But the mother doesn't understand what that looks like from the stepfather's perspective or the child's perspective. I'm good with it. Listen, it is what it is. If your child lives under my roof, your child follows my rules. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. There's no way around that. I'm the man of this house. I'm not stepping into anyone's child's life and trying to replace the father because you can't. All you have is a damn opinion. Plain and simple. They will always look to their mother for everything. Oh, you let him say this to me? You let him do, you let him? Again, because they were never given an understanding from the beginning about anything that was going on in their lives. They don't know how to conceptualize this here thing. They think that we trying to replace father. I'm not trying to replace your father. I don't want to replace your father. That's not even on my agenda because I can't. But you don't have that understanding. The understanding that you must have is that this is my house. My rules. I say things out their mouth they don't need to say. But they're not looking at the fact that I'm a dude who got your back. Plain and simple. I'm going to treat you like my birth children. Because I'm responsible today. I wasn't always responsible. So when you look at control, right, and the authority that control has in regards to raising children, like I make day-to-day decisions about the child's life without the father. I don't care what you say, Dad. It's my decision. So we get treated like a sperm donor by the mother and the child. You're just a sperm donor. That's all you are. Why do you think she's treating you like with disrespect? Why would you begin to treat me disrespectfully because you get pregnant? Why would you begin to be disrespectful towards me after you have the child? Why? You haven't been this all this time we've been together. No conflict, no confrontation, no reason. I haven't done anything to you. Why would you begin to treat me in the capacity that you are? Why would you tell my child these kinds of things? What would you do that for? Like, why? But you talk about my inabilities. You talk about my inadequacies. You talk about my shortcomings. And not even looking at your own. But how do we go from being to... How do we do that? How do you do that? Do you... As fathers, we don't understand that. How could you be so hurtful? How could you be so deceitful? How? And we ain't even going to talk about the so-called believers in the books. How do you treat somebody this way? How do you treat your own child this way? How do you do it? And smile and laugh and kiki like it don't mean a damn thing. Nothing. The pain doesn't go away from us as fathers. It doesn't go away. We love harder than you women can ever conceptualize within your minds. We were conditioned with the mask. And some of y'all did it to us too. We were conditioned that way. And you further the conditioning when you don't sit down and be respectful. You further that conditioning when you talk to us like we your damn child. It's a whole lot more layers that women put upon fathers, mothers put upon fathers. Society as a whole puts a whole lot upon us as fathers. Mothers put upon fathers. Society as a whole puts a whole lot upon us as fathers. We mean a damn thing. Just pay the bill. We this should be perform in bed, perform at the bank, perform with. I don't care about your feelings. Just perform. Thing. Just pay the bill. We this should be perform in bed, perform at the bank, perform with. I don't care about your feelings. Just perform. I done cleaned my glasses 19 times. I ain't put them on yet. Yeah. We're going to take a break for a minute. And then we're going to go to love and loyalty. The test that children are always faced with. The loyalty test. Who do you love the most? Well, it's really hard to love what ain't in front of you. It's hard to do. And I mean that in the literal sense. Be back in a minute. We're going to take a brief break. I'm going to get me some coffee. You're watching Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host as always, Sabir Lean. I'll be right back. So, yeah, it's it's a lot to contend with just in this conversation that we're having regarding parental alienation and its impact. You know, what this comes down to is at what point do you stop arguing? At what point do you stop debating? At what point do you look at this situation between you and the father, you and the mother, you and the mother and child? When do you start taking an honest look at what you have caused? At what you have caused? That's the real question here, because I can guarantee you when I look in the comments, all I'm going to hear is he wasn't this and he wasn't that. He was supposed to. Ain't no real men out there and so on and so forth. But it still speaks volumes about you. Especially when you make decisions like this. It just really, when I saw the decisions and the things that were said and done, you know, with my own children, you know, it's like I just didn't. I still don't. Right, but what I do know is that everybody has a point in time where their capacity of life, of learning, right, is where it is until the transformation happens. Plain and simple. I got clean from drugs, street life. I walked away after several attempts, mind you, just like anybody else who runs into the addiction, right? At 34 years old, I got married. I was 24 years old. 24 years old. I think I got a pair of sneakers up there that may be about that. Or I got a pair of snakeskin Stacy Adams that may be about close to that. But I'm just saying that, you know, justly. But 24 years old. I was like, I didn't know. I was on my own pretty much since I was 15, 16 years old in the street. What did I know? No father involved. Rolling solo. I never rolled with a whole bunch of dudes. Had a few dudes I clicked up with, throughout the years, in that life. Right? But how observant were they as mothers away from me? Anything to say about me till this point. And it wasn't just them, it was folks prior to that were involved with me, knowing the life that I lived, knowing what I was doing, knowing how I rolled. I was about that life. You knew I was about that life. What did you think was going to be different? Really? What did you think was going to be different? And I'm not saying that to bash them. I've never bashed any woman that I've been with, regardless of my perception of them. I'm on my 5th marriage. This is my last marriage. Not because I'm not doing it anymore, because I'm not, but because I have the right one. I have one who listens to me in terms of me expressing my feelings. I have one that shows full respect to me as a man, who allows me to lead as a man. I've never had any problem showing that in any capacity prior to. Right? Did I say it right? No. I've never, after 34, when I made the decision that I was done with the streets, I was done with the whole life, it ain't been no issue. everything, because I was still working towards becoming a better person. I was getting high reading the Quran at the same time. No, I mean literally at the same time. Throughout my life, I was always pushing to improve as a person. Today, I still do the same thing. I still read Quran. I still delve into the Bible. My wife's a Christian. I still seek her help. I understand today who I am, what I am. How much did you understand at the time when you made your decision? Have you changed since that decision? So why haven't you gone back and corrected? Why haven't you scheduled a meeting? Listen, I want you to come over, me, you, and our child sit down and have a meeting. And I'm not telling you that it would be, something that I would want to partake in, because I wouldn't. I'm just saying for your own freedom, not for me. For our child's freedom, not for me. It's not a damn thing anybody can do for me who hasn't made the effort at any point in time since listen, when it happens, you have a window of opportunity where you can correct your incorrectness, right? I've forgiven you and moved the hell on. I don't have time for it. I don't retain that kind of energy. But I'm just saying, when you made the decision that you were going to take the child away from the father, at what point in time did your growth stop? Did you not continue to grow? Did you not continue to mature? Did you not come to your senses and say, hey, this was just wrong? Let me fix this. Because it's wrong. Plain and simple, it's wrong. I, as the father, have to carry it. I, as the father, have sleepless nights. I, as the father, cried on the inside because at one point in time, I didn't have the ability to cry on the outside. That's what you wanted? You satisfied now? Now what? That's not enough for some of y'all. It's not enough for some of y'all to have a father standing in front of you, begging and pleading to be able to see his child. That's not enough for some of y'all. Well, what are you looking for? This doesn't have anything to do with me. What you're doing has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you and your inabilities, your inadequacies, your shortcomings. It don't have nothing to do with me. It's like some of y'all salivate at the thought of being able to have the father bow down to you. And still, you don't let up. Still, you don't let up. So what other choice do we have? Especially when you don't believe enough in the family court system to help you being able to have your rights to your child. Because all of us ain't going into a courtroom. Unless it's in 5-point restraints. And some of y'all want to see that. And then wonder why he can't get and or keep a job because you keep having him locked up because of some small coins that the government's. And then wonder why he can't get and or keep a job because you keep having him locked up because of some small coins that the government's going to give you that is illegal. We know that today, but we didn't. Then that it was actually illegal, and it's been going on for so long, but now it's being confronted. It's illegal. What the hell do you have to do with what I give my child? Now you establish a capacity that I should have for you. We need to get some of these damn judges off of these seats. That's a beginning point as well. Get some of these damn judges off of the seat because they don't belong there. When I was in Philly, I saw a criminal court judge. I think it was 2 of them, but I know one for certain. A criminal court judge go from a criminal court seat to a family court seat, what do you think the outcome was going to be for the fathers? He's a criminal court judge and one for years and one known for doing people dirty. And he gets elected. Did he get elected? Think about it. Who the hell is going to elect a judge, a criminal court judge, into a family court seat? Who the hell would do that? Don't get me started on that. But when you look at the so-called best interest of the child, the best interest of the child, now I got a whole PowerPoint presentation on how it even came to be in the courts as the best interest of the child. Because at one point in time, it wasn't that. It was called the tender years. The tender years was a point in time where the courts, Parliament said, and it was a woman who actually went in and was responsible for some of these changes, right? You got to look it up yourself. And I got a PowerPoint on that too. Maybe one day I'll do the PowerPoint. But the tender years was, that was the bar in the courts, right? It wasn't the best interest of the child until many years later. But it used to be called the tender years. And the tender years, I think, ended at like 7 years old. So the tender years suggested that if a child is 7 or under, that the child should be with the mother. Yeah. They were called the tender years. And then it was changed. I forget the years and all that stuff. But this is back in the 1800s, right? When all this stuff started developing. And then the woman came along and all these things began to change. And then it went from the tender years to the best interest of the child. So the best interest of the child is the standard courts use, supposedly, to decide custody and access arrangements. Listen to what I'm saying to you. I want you to hear what I'm saying because it goes back to what dude was saying about the rights of fathers. The best interest of the child is the standard that courts use to decide custody and access arrangements. What it's telling you is, because y'all were being too damn fools, I'm going to be the one to tell you, based on my analysis of the two of you, how this is going to look moving forward. Because y'all couldn't do it. Right? The courts know nothing about either of you other than that which you present in the court. They don't know nothing about what preceded all of that. They don't know nothing about the relationship and how it is. They don't know nothing about your background. They don't know nothing. Just sound familiar? Yeah. Sound like the person you laid up with, huh? Yeah, the person who now you have formulated by your own analysis what they're worthy of. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So when you look at the courts, right, are advocates for the woman, for the mother. That's why they find no difficulty in locking our asses up, because we can't come up with that $1,500 again. I never had court experience, support court experience. But I've counseled men. 30 years I worked in the field, primarily with those transitioning from state correctional institutions back home. In Philly and in Florida. State correctional, not prisons. I mean, jails, prisons, state prisons. Right? And every time in Pennsylvania, don't know if it changed, probably wouldn't. I doubt it, because they don't change a damn thing. Right? That's relevant. When a person, a father, comes out of a state correctional institution, the first thing they need to do You got to go to family court. Yeah. You got to go to family court. Right? And while you were in prison, nobody came to you to help you, to tell you, while you're in prison, you can have that stopped, that accrual stopped until you're released. So a lot of fathers are coming out owing a whole lot of money based off the time that they've been away. So you've been away 5 years. You got 5 years of whatever that amount that you was given for child support, right? You have it all owed, and you got to stay current. You just got out of prison. Then you got to turn around and go to court. Then the court tells you when you need to have this money. I just got out of jail. I ain't got no money yet. I don't have a job. Don't matter. I see you in this state with the money. Don't have it, I'm locking you up. Once you in it, you in it. It won't be changed, won't be modified without a fight. You got court money to get an attorney? Huh? Oh, that's not your child? Oh, well, you can't help. You go get an attorney and fix it. Next. Don't just look at the mother put you in this position. Look at your attitude as well. You calling her outside of her name, you running up on her new dude and all this other crazy stuff, that's just working against you. This is the time when you need to, I don't have a pen here. Pick up the pen, contact a family, a law attorney, get to going. And if you'd have did that beforehand, you might not be right here now. Because you've already started the process of securing your rights. The reality of it is, there are just mothers out there who are going to be relentless, who are going to be the same where they were before they were pregnant, because you already saw the signs. You turned your head, right? You turned the blind eye to the bad behavior, and you moved on with it because you wanted what you wanted. Now you're in this position, right? You hooked up because she dropped it like it was hot at the club. You pushed up on her. Y'all wound up doing what you do. What we do as adults, and then it's over with, and then you don't want to be no parts of it because you didn't want none of that in the beginning. Or some of y'all just told so many damn lies, whispered all these sweet nothings about what you're going to do, and she took it all to heart, fell in love with you, fell hard and heavy, and not even close to what she thought you were going to be. All these pictures, all these scenarios. Whatever they are, none of this shit matters. This is about the life of the child. Plain and simple. I don't need you to like me. I don't need anybody in life to like me. I don't need likes and shares, and I'm not looking for none of that. God gives me what I need. God gave me what I need to deliver this message to you. 30 years in the field of human and social services. 30 years as a substance abuse educator, counselor, oversight of programs, facilities, multiple facilities. I don't need nobody to validate me. So I don't have I'm not rolling around with nobody. I roll by myself. I don't have time for it. It is what it is. We keep trying to make something what we want it to be when it's not. It's not. It's not going to be. Stop playing games. Fathers, stop playing games. Stop going back and forth with other arguments. Stop falling prey to the misinformation that you were given what it means to be a man. Stop falling prey to that. You want to see your child. Make it happen. Right from the gate. I'm telling you. I didn't have the capacity. Some of y'all didn't have the capacity. You have the capacity now? Giddy up. Right? The last one. Forcing the child to choose. And again, I want to ask the question. Having heard all of that, When a child hears all of that I just got finished talking about for the last 15 minutes, when a child hears all of that, but it's only about the father, what do you think they begin to think? What do they begin to think? Does it matter to you what they think? Or you controlling that too? You want to control that too. You want to control everything and don't even see where you're out of control because you think you're in control. The only thing you have control over is you. And look at how good of a job you're doing with that. Forcing the child to choose. Love becomes a loyalty test. To the one who is always giving things, allowing. When parents separate, children's loyalty to one parent over the other can be shaped by a mix of emotional, relational, and situational factors. This is often referred to as a loyalty bind or split loyalty. Look them up. Where a child feels compelled to choose sides, leading to internal conflict and emotional strain. Right? So let's look at the parental conflict and triangulation. Persistent or heated disputes between parents can draw children into the middle, sometimes pressuring them to align with one parent against the other. And it's really easy to do if you took me out of the equation. There's no triangulation. You eliminated that. Intentional or unintentional doesn't matter. And when I say unintentional, I mean that like until you start looking at your unresolved and looking at why you are responding so deeply to this, right? And bringing resolve to that, you're going to keep on doing it. You're going to keep on justifying within yourself while what you're doing, by you removing the father from the child's life, you're going to keep convincing yourself that what you're doing is the right thing because you got hurt. You're not looking at the fact that, yo, this is just wrong. But let me figure out what the hell is going on with me that I did this to my own child. I did this to my own child. Emotional pressure. Parents may unintentionally or intentionally make children feel guilty for not siding with them or force them to choose sides. Where you want to live, you go live with him then. Let him, since you can disagree with every damn thing I tell you, go live with your father. And then when they start living there, you stop hearing from them and they start enjoying life. They start being productive in their lives. They start going to school regularly. They start getting good grades. They start participating in, extracurricular activities like sports activities and stuff like that. Then it's a problem. Then you start coming at the father. Right? Did he tell you that he walked out on me? Did he tell you when he did this? All lies, but I'm going to tell the child this anyway. Because I don't want you there. I don't want you doing better. After all, I'm parent of the year. I'm parent of the year. How you going to let that Negro come along and do this? And then all of a sudden you with him. And I'm sorry, y'all, if I reference Negro. But because this father absenteeism is across the board. It's across the board. It's not just black families. We're the most impacted because of systematic issues. But it's across the board, man. You think white parents ain't going through some of the same stuff? Mexican parents, Asian parents? Well, I don't know. The Asians, man, they got this thing pretty much structured like end of story. But those who ain't in the culture, but do you think? No. Everybody goes through it. But we can only speak from, in a general sense, in the explanatory sense, from where we are, our culture. But everything that I'm talking about is relevant to every family, to every father, to every child, to every mother. I have to make a decision. You already made it for me. I got to sneak and go call my dad. I got to sneak to meet my dad place to ask my dad, can he meet me somewhere, because I can't show you that I'm seeing him. I was just watching what was that? The prodigal son? Was it? Yeah, I think it was the prodigal son. I was watching that yesterday, and all these things were coming up. You know, was happening with I kept you away from your father because he was this. Yet still, when they were together, right, all the argument and bickering and stuff like that, it was a different moment between the two of them. See, sex wasn't a problem. Most of the time, sex isn't a problem in a relationship if you're together. The one and done's, yeah. But when you're together, sex usually isn't the problem. Hence the reason why you keep going back and dipping. Right? So the emotional pressure of having to hide that, man, is something terrible. Right? Parental behavior, disparaging remarks, accusations, or emotional distress about the other parent can make loyalty alignment feel necessary for the child's emotional survival. We're talking about a child here. You made a decision, and you made the decision not thinking about the child. You're thinking about yourself. What does a 2-year-old know? What does a 5-year-old know? What does a 10-year-old know? Especially if they're looking to get the information from you, because you can't even make a rational decision with letting me be involved with my child's life. Empathy and responsibility. Children may bond more with the parent who appears more distressed or in need, even if that parent is the one causing the conflict. You got to ride on that victim role. Your father did this to me. He did that to me. He knocked me up and walked out on me. He should have done this. He should have done that. He wasn't no kind of man. He couldn't take what? You disrespected me repeatedly? You coming out of your mouth thinking that you can... Man, listen. Some of y'all pushing dudes to the point of throwing hands. I don't agree with that. But who do you think you are that you can do that? Go ahead, hit me. I'll get your ass locked up. Well, why did you just walk away from the relationship? Why did you... I mean, for real. Didn't you get pregnant and carry on with the same conduct? But you wanted me to stop selling drugs when you got pregnant because you thought that was the right thing for me to do. But you didn't start showing me any level of respect when I stood by you for the 9 months and I was there during the delivery. You continued on with the same mentality and then took my child away from me. So all of these things, right? Listen, they were taught these things before they understood. They were taught all of these things. You didn't teach the child when they were old enough to understand. Mommy and daddy just didn't get along. Daddy loves you. Your father loves you. He adores you. And when you get old enough, right, you'll be able to call him anytime you want, be able to see him anytime you want, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to go get the phone now, and you can, whatever you want to say on the phone, right? When do you start caring and nurturing your child? When do you start helping your child to understand things? Sometimes it just don't work. I don't have anything bad to say about my exes. Just two good people together in a situation that don't work. Everything don't work. And I don't know why people want to keep saying you gotta stay, and you stop riding with that. God never said that. Read what he said. Parental alienation doesn't just remove a parent. It removes part of the child's identity. And once identity is affected, everything else follows. Everything else. Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, as always, Alienation, right? I'll see you next Sunday, and the Sunday after that, and the Sunday after that, right here on my Aleem For You Facebook page at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock. I'll be right here, because Daddy's right here. I may not be here in the capacity that you want, the capacity that you think I should be. Just know that Daddy's right here. Duadiana. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I did not, forgive me. Sports and Life Psycho. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Essenia01. Y'all know I can't see, so if I pronounce it wrong, just charge it to my vision, because I just can't see. And somebody here got 99 different things there. Who else I got here? Ivan Groznu, thanks for tuning in. Bill Van Mullen, thanks for tuning in. 1962 Marcy, thanks for tuning in. Posh, thanks for tuning in. J-Hop X Styles, thanks for tuning in. Wanukwis, if I pronounce it wrong again, thanks for tuning in. J Shack, thanks for tuning in. Ruby 4.9, thanks for tuning in. Love You 209, thanks for tuning in. Bree Spam, thanks for tuning in. Viviana, thanks for tuning in. Chris King, thanks for tuning in. Invite Z Baby to join us as a guest. Thanks for tuning in, Z Baby. Mrs. Clock, that tea so cold, thanks for tuning in. Sky Jackson, thanks for tuning in. Harold Geraldo, Ira, Maurice, thanks for tuning in. Big Mama, thanks for tuning in. Yvonne the Billionaire, thanks for tuning in. Pass some money over here, Yvonne. Amaryllis, thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always, Sabir Aleem. We got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned for the clips. Peace.